going to record. Welcome everybody who's watching on the record. I'm just going live onto Facebook. This is available live as well on the RE/MAX Realtron Realty Inc. Facebook page. And we are live now on Facebook. Welcome to everybody watching on Facebook. We will broadcast to our attendees momentarily in 3, 2, 1. Broadcast. Gentlemen, we are live. Welcome to everybody joining in. We will give a couple of moments for those who are arriving now, those who are viewing the webinar now to join. Welcome to everybody watching on Facebook. Welcome to everybody watching on Zoom. Welcome to everybody watching on a recording, either on YouTube or via their email or whatever medium this finds you on. We're really excited to bring you this unique content and this information right now to help you guys understand the real estate market. My name is Jeremy Pilarski, manager here at RE/MAX Realtron at our Shepherd office. I'm joined today by Cam Forbes and Alex Pilarski. Good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Jeremy.
Cam Forbes is RE/MAX Realtron general manager, brings an MBA and a CA background, plus tons of real estate experience. Alex Pilarski, co-founder of RE/MAX Realtron in 1985, has been a real estate agent in the GTA since 1972. So he brings a wealth of experience and knowledge. We're going to put that all together and talk today about what's happening in the real estate market. We're going to give you an update sort of on what we've done in terms of COVID to make sure our practices are safe, talk about what we've done to update our brokerage and what we're changing. And then of course, we're going to talk about what's happening in the real estate market. If we just want to look at the agenda for one moment, we're going to talk about the background and current situation. We'll talk about the short-term and long-term fundamentals of the market and the GTA market. We'll give you an update. Market Watch came out with their statistics today. So this is hot off the press. We spent the morning updating the numbers based on that. And the numbers look great. And then we're going to talk about, Alex is going to talk about the opportunities available in the GTA real estate market. And then we're going to have plenty of time. That should all go about 45 to 50 minutes, and we'll have plenty of time for a Q&A at the end. So if you have questions, please slot them into the Q&A below or into the chat, and we will address all questions at the end. This session is part of RE/MAX Realtron's commitment to making our clients and our agents better educated than the rest of the market, so that our agents and clients can win and take advantage of opportunities available to them. So without further ado, if we have any other cleanups, guys, we're good to go.
Perfect.
Yes. All set.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I'm going to turn it over to Cam, and he'll get started. As people are still coming in, welcome to everybody who's just joined. We're going to turn it over to Cam Forbes, RE/MAX Realtron General Manager now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to be a part of today's session, which we hope will really be for you and to meet your needs right now in the real estate marketplace with COVID and beyond. So I would be remiss if I didn't start with just a very short background and current situation, both of COVID and of the market. So where are we currently in terms of the real estate market and COVID? So as you'll all recall, at the start of the pandemic, obviously, we didn't know a lot. The healthcare practitioners did not know a lot about what was going to happen. And some of the headlines reflected that, right? They're pretty, astronomical, some of them, price drops, things that'll happen in the real estate market. And none of that came true, right? It was a much different situation. The market paused for a bit and then came back very strong, and we're in a very, very strong market right now in the GTA. And so during the pandemic, real estate was an essential business. So it was declared an essential business because everybody knew that folks such as yourself would have needs, whether you own, whether you're looking to buy, whether you made a purchase commitment prior to COVID, there was needs that we had to fulfill in the marketplace. And so we continued to serve the public in a safe way. And we adopted very early all of the safety protocols, much more than actually anything required. And these are some pictures of our agents helping you the consumer, the client in the marketplace, sell your home, list your home, show homes, all safely with masks and physical distancing and all of the other things we now know are so important to have in place for safety. We also did a lot of things in the community. So we're community players. Our agents are community players, and we want to serve the community that you live in. So we had agents do things like help get food to those who are locked in on their own, particularly seniors in the marketplace. We had a lot of initiatives to try to support in the community, as I know all of you did, the frontline workers, right? The frontline workers are so important in this overall situation. And we wanted to help you and everybody to support the frontline workers. And for those of you who are frontline workers, thank you from the bottom of our hearts, all of our hearts. And we came up with, we are originators, early adopters of many virtual things. So virtual open houses, virtual showings. We were having 40, 50, 60 virtual open houses every weekend through April and May, and most competitors didn't even have anything. And these were being done to help, obviously, those people who had to sell their home and get the best price and terms available for that sale. So lots of things to help in the community. And just like you, we and our realtors always want to improve, continuously grow. And so professional development is always a really key and critical part of our business and our agents' business, and how they make sure they can serve you best always. And so they're constantly learning. We had a lot of sessions during the pandemic period of time, even more sessions because it was a time of change, to help make sure our agents were really well informed, really on the top of their game to help you best in the marketplace. We had guest speakers such as Chris Alexander, who heads up the overall RE/MAX system in the Ontario Atlantic regions. We had the CEO of Ontario Real Estate Association, Tim Hudak, speak with us exclusively. So a lot of great things to ensure that our agents were well informed and able to help you in the marketplace best. And so beyond that, I just wanted to very quickly re-emphasize our objectives as real estate brokerage, our agents' objectives for serving you in the marketplace. So number one, safety for everyone. It's an essential business. We have to serve you throughout the period of time, and we have to observe all safety protocols, even more safety protocols that are required by law. So safety is the most important thing for everyone. We also need to be flexible. Everybody in a period of change like this needs to be flexible. We need to be flexible so we can respond to whether it's new safety protocols, whether it's the need to close an office, whether it's the need just for changing business volumes, because obviously volumes are up and down and much more changeable in this type of situation. And so we obviously need to be flexible to make sure we're safe and we can support and serve you best. And finally, our ultimate thing is, of course, always as a service business. We are a real estate service business. Our agents serve you, and we always want to have superior customer support and service to you as the consumer in the marketplace. So those are our key objectives that we make the best decisions and have us focused in on you, the customer and client. And so with COVID, there's obviously some short-term things going on, and we fundamentally know some longer things will happen as well, longer term, that'll change and some that won't. And so we wanted to just help you to get the structure so you can make great decisions with your RE/MAX Realtron agent about what has changed, what has not changed, what's the short-term, long-term as a result of COVID, and how does it impact you as a homeowner or a prospective homeowner in the marketplace. And so fundamental truths are time is limited. We all know that. You know that. It's not money that limits us, it's time. We are limited by time, and that's fundamentally important to understand anything that happens and key changes in the marketplace. And people, of course, need to and want to be safe. If we didn't know that before, we certainly know that now. It's been emphasized because of COVID. And people are social. So fundamentally, long-term, people will always be social. So when someone asks you, is everyone going to work at home? Is nobody going to work together? The answer is no. And we know it's no because people don't want to work at home all the time. But COVID has allowed some additional flexibilities and things that I'll go through as well. And these are all to sort of set up Alex, who's going to talk specifically about the opportunities in the marketplace, as Jeremy had said. And so Canada and Toronto are destinations for those from the developing world. It is a fantastic place for people to move to, as we all know that who live here. And so fundamentally, long term, there will be people immigrating into the Toronto and Canada regions at the same high rates as we had before COVID. Leisure activities are valued. Of course, we all value our leisure activities, don't we? Right. And we're missing some of them now. So we will go back to them when it's safe. We're going to travel again. We're going to go to sporting events. We're going to go to the opera. We're going to do our social activities and our leisure activities. And finally, technology, it's advanced at such an amazing pace, right, for all of us, and it's just going to continue to advance. But right now, we've learned how people can work from home, right? 5 days a week, they can work from home with their computers. Even folks like the bond traders downtown, they never thought they could work from home up until COVID, and they're working from their homes at this period of time. So technology, amazing, and will continue to influence, obviously, things in the longer term. And finally, from a real estate perspective, of course, people say location, location, location. Land is limited. That's why they say that. We can't create more land. So land is limited, and it fundamentally means that supply is limited, so that it fundamentally means prices will go up in the long term when you combine that with household formation in the GTA because of immigration. And so I divided this up into short term, and what I mean by that is less than a year, and then long term, obviously greater than a year. So short term, and we've seen this in the media a little bit, there has been a little bit of an emphasis on sellers and buyers being able to now live in areas outside the downtown core of the GTA because they can work from home. So they're not having to commute, so they're able to look maybe in the 905 or even beyond that, the outer 905, like a St. Catharines or Peterborough or those types of things. And that's true. So there has been some people who wanted to probably move to those areas anyhow that have moved up their decisions to make that move because they now can work from home. But that is really a short-term thing. They've done that because they were going to do it anyhow. There hasn't really been any sort of mass emigration out of the 416, the downtown core, by any stretch of the imagination. Short-term. And because of that, there's a short-term weakness in the rental market. But when I say weakness, just to get an overall perspective, which is really important, over the last 3 years, rental prices have gone up 10% a year almost in the GTA. So they've gone up over 30% over the last 3 years. And so the weakness right now, rental rates are down about 10%. So they're still up over 20% from where they were 3 years ago. So it's still a good market, but it is a weaker rental market. A little bit better for tenants, right? A little bit more balanced, and that's okay. That's in the 416 core particularly. And unfortunately, when there is time of change, this is any change, right? Whether it's the free trade agreement and manufacturing that changed or the cod fishery in Newfoundland, right? When you get a fundamental change, and there is going to be fundamental changes out of COVID, there are changes that unfortunately impact people's financial situation. So we'll probably see a few more power sales, foreclosures, because families will have to right size, downsize, make changes because their job environment has changed as a result of COVID. Other things in the short term. So we're seeing it now, of course, right? Weakness in restaurant, tourism, gyms, banquet clubs, events. The big debate right now in Toronto, of course, is whether they should shut down indoor dining or not, which I guess, jury is out, and Ford has not made that decision yet. But there's certainly weakness in those sectors right now. But one of the things that is really, really important to remember is that interest rates are at historically low levels. Like never, ever in the history of Canada have interest rates been as low as they are right now for a mortgage. You can get a 5-year fixed mortgage, so fixed for 5 years for as low as 1.6%. So that's almost zero. It's unheard of, and it's an amazing and important fundamental part for everyone to be aware of where we are in the real estate market right now and why it's such a great time to buy or upsize, or because you can afford more, it's more affordable due to interest rates. Government of Canada has minded their financial business very well over the years, and they are able to bridge the gap to a vaccine. So all healthcare practitioners generally worldwide, Canada, Toronto, are predicting a vaccine next year. It's just a matter of when. Canada's done a lot of things to make sure that they've hedged their bets and involved in many different vaccine producers, but there's still a gap. So the government of Canada definitely will step up to make sure there's not a big, crisis or something coming out of this economically. There's change, no doubt about it. There's certainly lots of change. I don't want to diminish that, but they have the ability, the financial ability, to make sure that things go to have the foundation to make sure it's not a dramatic situation. And of course, the vaccine will be developed. It'll become available to the developed world, over the next year, which is obviously what we're all hoping for and excited for and looking forward to. So long term, which again, greater than a year, fundamentally the equation between employer and employee has changed. And this is what has changed regardless of COVID. So COVID's gone, we have a vaccine. Now employers and employees know that they can have employees work from home more. They don't have to work from home 5 days a week, but they don't have to drive into a downtown location, particularly 5 days a week. So that does mean fundamentally some changes. So it'll mean, fewer people working downtown. So less commercial office space required. It'll mean more hoteling of employees, because an employee will want to, because they're social, still go in, but maybe they go in once a week versus 5 times a week. And that's why they might be able to consider living in a St. Catharines and coming in by, bus and train once a week to go downtown. So that is fundamental and really important for all of us to understand, that equation between employer and employee has changed. And right now, because of policy, there's no immigration coming in, but that will change, and it's already starting to change. Government today talked about international students returning into Canada in a safe way and the 14-day quarantine that will be required of them. So we are starting to see the borders will become a bit more open for folks coming in. And when there's a vaccine, immigration will go back. About 150,000 people settle in the GTA every year. That means they require 50 to 60,000 new homes being constructed a year. The market only has about 40,000 being constructed. We're 10 to 20,000 short every year. So long-term, prices are going up in the GTA because there is not enough supply of homes. Simple as that. And again, investment, not only people, but investment will return to Canada and the GTA in particular because of uncertainties in other places like China, Hong Kong, wanting the next generation to do better, particularly in India. Philippines is the second and third highest number of immigrants coming to Canada from those countries. And everyone knows that Canada and Toronto has stability, multicultural, lots of land, fresh water, good universities, colleges for their kids. And so long term, I talked about this 905 push-pull, things will return to balance. So people do and want to work and live in the 416. So don't think for a minute that this is a permanent trend of people not wanting to be in the core. People do want to be close to restaurants, bars, waterfront activities, things downtown. It's exciting to live downtown, and the younger generation wants to live downtown, regardless of whether they have to work at an office or not. So that will come back into balance. International students, as I said, they're already starting to return. Large events will return. Long-term real estate is a fantastic investment in the GTA because of the population household growth I've spoken about. And so it is an important thing to know. And interest rates will come back to more normal levels, which will be okay because the economy will improve as well. So it'll balance each other out. And the developing world will get the vaccine too. Unfortunately, money buys, it's a terrible thing, and I don't think there's anything that you and I can do about it, but they'll be second after the developed world in terms of the vaccine, but it will come. And finally, the long term, I think internationally, the scientific community and everybody now generally understands and views carbon and climate change as being the fundamental issue that we as Canadians, we as worldwide participants will need to address, right? Our carbon footprint, and that'll be the fundamental thing that'll change the marketplace in the future. And so with that, I did want to take you through, as Jeremy said, hot off the presses, stats out this morning, GTA market. So we've got some charts here. I've got a few charts I want to show you. This first is unit sales. So September, there were over 11,000 sales, highest number of sales ever in September. And as you can see, the lines below are the other years. So much higher than before, 40% higher than last year. So significant increase in market activity in September this year versus last year. That means price is up too. So 961,000 was the average price in September 2020. So significantly higher than the year before and the highest price, as you can see, over the last 10 years. Properties available for sale. So this is another word for it's the inventory. So how many homes are available for sale right now? So there's 18,000 homes available for sale right now, which is a seller's market. There is not enough homes for sale. That's about 1.6 months of supply. So if there were no new listings today, we'd run out of homes for sale in about 1.6 months, which is a seller's market overall. And this chart is really, really important for everybody to understand and know. Not every home that is listed sells. I think that's sometimes a common misunderstanding about the marketplace. As I just mentioned, there's 18,000 homes available for sale right now, but there are 11,000 sales in the month. And so not every home sells. You really need to have a professional realtor, a RE/MAX Realtron agent to help you navigate the marketplace to make sure that if you're a homeowner, you get the best price and terms. And if you're buying, you get the same as well. So get a professional involved. Not every home sells, particularly if you're a seller. And as a buyer, you need to have a sharp pencil and a professional on your side. And so with that, I'm going to now pass it over to Alex, who will take you through some of the opportunities and things in the marketplace.
And thank you, Cam.
Yeah, no problem.
You know, it's interesting that we all talk about the fact that the downtown core is slower and people don't want to live downtown. I've had occasion to need to drive downtown over the last month, and I have to tell you, at 2 o'clock, the Don Valley is packed. The traffic is horrendous, and it's certainly hard to believe that people aren't working downtown because the streets are jammed. So it's really amazing. The 404 is jammed. I don't go out the west side, but I'm sure that it's jammed as well. And interesting. The traffic is as horrible as it was before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to my presentation, which is a time of opportunity for us in the Toronto market. And let's get going. 1 second. Excellent. All right. Thank you all for joining us. And it is a great time of opportunity for Toronto real estate. You know, the second wave is here. We've been talking about it all year. And unfortunately, it is here. And there will be a third wave and a fourth wave until we are able to get a vaccine. And we have to be prepared to live in this pandemic. We're still wearing masks. We're still keeping our social distance. We're still unable to hug and hold our loved ones. And we still have fears and concerns. But don't forget the media feeds on fears and concerns. So I anticipate we're going to have some ugly or new potential headlines. They are what they are. And this is what I think the headlines will be, because ultimately disaster headlines sell advertising. Unemployment hits 8.5%. The real estate bubble will burst. We've heard that one since the year 2000. Pandemic returns, such and such company. Like it'll rain tomorrow, or man will never land on the moon. There are no consequences if they're right or wrong. But the thing that is important is the worse the headlines, the higher the viewership, and the more expensive the advertising. And that's what, unfortunately, the media has become. As FDR said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Fear freezes us. It stops us from moving forward. Think of the fear you or your parents or grandparents had moving to a new country, a new language, new customs. If they hadn't conquered, and if you hadn't conquered that fear, we wouldn't be here today. Others have had the same option and allowed the fear to conquer them and are still in the old country. So the two greatest fear busters are knowledge and action. And let's analyze our fears. We know that Realtron, we have the training. our agents have the experience and the knowledge that they can help you, so we all can come out of this better and stronger than ever. One of the tools that we use is called a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is a strategic planning technique used to help a person or organization identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats related to business competition or project planning. Let's do a SWOT analysis on the market to see if there is a reason to fear. We have some amazing strengths due to COVID. Low interest rates, desire for bigger living space, the technology to work remotely, the transformation of physical retail to online, the preference of 100% virtual and easy transactions. The key these days is easy. People are willing to pay more for an easy transaction. Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, DoorDash are all proof of the fact that we are willing to pay for service. And we've also seen that the majority of people want to get out of the house. Employers also have realized that virtual employees can be efficient. And that was something that people didn't know, but virtual employees have proven to be very, very efficient. The reality is that some businesses will close while others boom. Those that are booming, and we've seen them, they're hiring more, they're expanding current business, and they're getting into subsidiary businesses. And here's, I love this slide because it proves it doesn't rain everywhere. And unfortunately, there are business sectors being challenged, but other sectors are thriving unbelievably. Office buildings and box stores are having greater challenges than smaller stores and shops, as an example. So there are some strengths due to COVID. New jobs are being created, new businesses are being opened, stores are being opened for the new businesses such as pre-cooked meals, home office setup, food delivery, and the recreational toy market has gone through the roof. If you've been looking for a boat or a snowmobile or a Ski-Doo, they are hard to find because they've all sold out. And there are new employment opportunities being created as Kijiji has become the new underground economy. The good news is we have more COVID experience. In April, we didn't know what was going to happen. October, we know what will happen. So working from home seemed like fun. Canadians want to work from home part of the time, but what we've seen is that we also want office socialization and need to get out. There's been a great amount of single-person households. That represents a new source of buyers, renters, as well as consumers. And of course, everybody would love to have a single-family residence. And those who can afford it will move up, representing more sales. Those who cannot will buy what they can afford. Unfortunately, with COVID, the Canadian divorce rate is expected to pass 38%. That's the bad news. On the good news is it's more business for therapists, lawyers, and other professionals, as these family breakups represent the creation of new buyers, new sellers, and new consumers. As well, thousands of marriages had been originally put on hold. They started again in June, July, and August, and once again have been put on hold. So marriages create housing opportunities. Getting married for many couples means buying a home. And so that represents, again, more opportunities for the Toronto housing market. September 16th, which was about 2-3 weeks ago, there was a Canadian Apartment Investment Conference, and one of the guest speakers was CIBC Deputy Chief Economist Benjamin Tal. And here's some facts that Mr. Tal shared. He felt that the next 6 months will be more difficult economically than in the past quarter, but the Canadian housing market is expected to continue its V-shaped recovery. Mr. Tal went on to say, here's some COVID facts. 56%, the government of Canada, through CERB and other programs, gave out $56 billion to Canadians. However, we had only lost $23 billion in lost wages, which means that on net, every Canadian house disposable income spiked 11% in Canada. We actually got raises because of COVID. This massive income boost has drove substantial affordability for Canadians. And what that affordability looks like when you combine that with, let me just get my pointer, when you combine that with low interest rate, as you can see here for condominiums as well as for houses, it takes higher down payments and lower interest rates require less of household income to afford property in Canada. And that has created our housing recovery. So as you can see here, it was 30% of the median household income. It reached its peak at about 55%. And now, due to these factors, it is now more affordable to buy a house in Canada. And the housing market should continue recovering. Mr. Tal was more optimistic about the market for several reasons. Number one is low interest rates and strong pent-up demand. 80% of the job loss was in the service sector, which were primarily renters. And home ownership actually increased because this is the opportunity that domestic buyers have been waiting for. Their jobs are still there, their incomes are still there, and interest rates are in the basement. Low-rise housing market will be fine. He felt that the lower price condos will appeal to investors and users, so there's going to be a market for that. There is a possibility of an oversupply in luxury condos as the economy slows down, but overall, he felt that the real estate market will stabilize at current levels versus the huge increases we have had over the last few years. He also went on to talk about the rent predictions. The rental market will remain soft for 6 months. And a lot of that is, again, some people moving out, the concern of extra units because of Airbnb. Those units are on the market and that's softening up the market. But he felt that that is going to change within 6 months. The rental market is slowing down due to an increased supply and less demand. And again, part of that demand or slowdown is that young adults may stay at home longer or move back in with their parents or share units due to lost wages. There are some strong positive markets factors in the market. Now, we know that on average, 350,000 immigrants immigrate to Canada every year. And a lot of people don't realize that 45% of them, or 160,000 new immigrants, have already landed and are here. So the number of decline of new immigrants is not as dramatic as originally perceived. Number two, 3.5 million Canadians live abroad, many in the US. And he felt that many may be considering a return due to a more acute COVID-19 crisis in the States and also social and political unrest south of the border. It's interesting to note that during the debates, the presidential debate a couple of weeks ago, Google had an all-time record for Americans Googling, what does it take to move to Canada? So we have a lot of Americans considering immigrating to Canada, but this is Canadians already living abroad coming back to Canada. Now we have 400,000 Canadians living in Hong Kong. 90,000 of them have already moved back to Canada and are, again, consuming our consumers and helping our economy. And on average every year, 100,000 Canadians move to the US, and that's not going to happen this year. That's 100,000 people who are staying in Canada, not selling their houses, and being consumers here and perhaps upgrading their homes. Now, at the same time, we had a rent report by TorontoRentals.com and Bullpen Consulting. August 30th, they did a rent report for Toronto and the GTA. And here's what they reported. Residential rent in the GTA declined to $2,194 in July, down 8.7% from a year ago. Condos were renting for $260 less per month compared to last year. Single family property was $350 cheaper per month. Townhouses were slightly higher. And rental apartments, not condos, those apartments that were built as rental apartments were $35 a month higher in July versus July 2019. They went on to say, to examine the rents, and basically East York, 16% down, North York, 12% down, Oakville and Toronto were 11% down from a year ago, and Mississauga was 10% down from a year ago. And the reason for that is downtown has lost some of its sizzle as more people work from home and not in the area's office towers. So that has created a little bit of an oversupply in the downtown area. And Bullpen President Ben Myers says, I think it's short term and people will still want to be downtown where the action is. So there are opportunities. We need condo rentals, I think, represent a great opportunity. As Cam pointed out, we require 50 to 60,000 new residential units every year to keep pace with legal immigration alone. And that's why prices in Toronto will continue to grow, because we're only building between 30 to 40,000 units. So every year we have 10 to 20,000 unit shortage of living space. And what's happened with the condo market right now is because of the Airbnb numbers, or Airbnb rentals coming on the market, that has created a bit of an oversupply and has created the rental rates to go down. But the reality is, there is a reality. The need is still there, and more important is you can now get a mortgage at 1.6% versus a couple of years ago at 3.5%. And while people are focused on price, I believe that the interest rate is just as important, if not more important, than the price. And let me show you an example. So if you got a mortgage at 3.5% for $480,000, it costs you $2,400 a month. Today, that same mortgage at 1.85% is $2,000 a month. So rents may have dropped by $200 a month from $2,400 to $2,200, but mortgage payments have dropped by $400 a month. And so for somebody purchasing, this is a great windfall, and those rents will continue to go up because demand will return. Let's take a look at the TREB September numbers, and they're very interesting. So for condominium apartments, sales year over year percent change. In 416, we have had 7% more sales in 416 than last year. In 905, and here's the critical part, 32%. So that's a reflection of COVID, where people are buying bigger units, uptown, maybe older buildings, but bigger square footage and getting out of the city. And the average price for the year over year, in 416, the average price of our condominium market has gone up 7.7%, and in 905, it's gone up 8%. So we're not seeing the 10% plus rapid or 20% plus rapid increase that we've had in the past, but that segment of the market continues to be strong, and I think represents a great opportunity for investors and users alike. So in Canada, US is 21.97, but in Canada, 27.5% of our buyers and renters are millennials, born between 81 and 96. 24% are Gen Z, Generation Z, born between 1997 to 2012. Now, the oldest of these, if you look at it, if somebody was born in 1997, today they're 23, 24. They're just starting to move out of their houses. They've just finished universities and are looking for jobs. And so that's 24% of the market. Would you like to, and together that's 51%. Would you like to see what 51% of the buyers and renters look like? Here they are. The younger demographic will always want to live in urban areas for their desired lifestyle. They want to work, they want to play, they want to eat, and they want to socialize. Now, adding to this group, which are primarily the millennials and a little bit of the Gen Zs, are international and Gen Z students. This is what they like. And as Cam pointed out, university is not just about the courses. Parents want to give children the North American experience, socialization, language skills, and making friends for the future. So all in all, 51% of the market is just coming into play and is continuing to grow. Here are the realities and opportunities in our business. Toronto is the fastest growing city in North America. We have 150,000 new immigrants, legal immigrants coming in every year. And on top of that, we have 30 to 40,000 refugee status immigrants. As well, when you add in undocumented immigrants, people who just come and stay, and international students, the future for Toronto real estate is limitless. You know, when condos were $300 a square foot and $500 a square foot and $1,000 a square foot, we all thought, wow, they're at the peak, they'll never increase. Well, the average condos are still at $1,200 a square foot, with prices going up to $1,800 a square foot and even more. And Toronto prices will continue to skyrocket as demand grows. So we've been keeping a chart since 1973, and as of 2019, the annual growth rate of Toronto real estate has been 6.6%. What we've done is given a very conservative projection of the green line is what we feel if prices increase at 3%, and the red line is where prices will increase by 5%. And so what we're looking at is in the next 20 odd years, as you can see how prices are going to continue to increase. Toronto is a great city. It's going to continue to grow. The Gen Zs are just starting to buy. And this is a great time for you to invest in yourself and in your future. And I would strongly recommend you speak to your RE/MAX Realtron agent who can show you great advantages of where to buy and help you and your family on the road to freedom, financial freedom. So thank you all. Jeremy, back to you, I think.
Yeah, hi. Thanks so much, Alex. Thanks, Cam. Great information. Ton of really useful stuff in there, I think. I've seen that presentation a couple times in the last couple days, but I think more every time I see it about the different opportunities available. We have some great questions from some of our attendees. Let me go in order that I received them. Starting with Sam Klein from our Thornhill office, had a client that messaged him with a question, worried about the market somehow going down or tanking if people start to lose their jobs, if there's a second wave, and properties, with properties and rental markets seeming weak. Is there underlying weakness right now in the market? Alex, you want to start with that?
Thank you. Great question, Sam. The demand is there. People have to live somewhere, and people, unfortunately, when the market is hot, they want to jump in because everybody says it's hot, and you have 15 offers. Today, because there's some opinions that the market is a little bit softer, and yes, rents have gone down, but as Cam pointed out, in the last 3 years, they went up 30%, so they're down 10% over 30. There's great opportunities in the market. Toronto is limited for growth. We have the moraine up north, so it's hard to build. We have the lake south, so it's difficult to build. And so that the downtown core, the Toronto itself will continue to be valuable, and people will continue to move in. And sometimes you've got to buck the trend. And the trend right now is people are afraid of downtown, and they shouldn't be. With the lower interest rates, all of a sudden, even a property that rented last year for $2,400, even if the rent went down to $2,000, with today's interest rate, you're still having no problem, and over time, the rents will return because it's a huge demand. Demand will continue to grow. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, that's a great start. And it opens up a couple other questions about the market that I'll try and combine in here. Bill Dutzis, our manager from Markham, was just opining, thinking that why are the condo market down? Is it because first-time buyers are not buying right now? Or is it because people are afraid to go into elevators and wearing masks and things like that? What's the real underlying reason, if you could boil it down to why condos have slowed a little bit?
Let me jump in. Fear, concern. Unfortunately, people, look, there's no question that there were a lot of Airbnb properties. Those properties have come on the market because Airbnb has disappeared due to lack of travel, and that has brought down prices. But nothing has changed. Those people who wanted to escape downtown still escaped. But I have to tell you that the traffic, drive downtown, the traffic has not changed. All right. So I would say is, things have a panache. Things have an excitement. Oh, downtown is a place to live. So everybody wants to go downtown. Then, oh no, we shouldn't live downtown. We should live up north. These things come and go. But the reality is, with the current interest rates, it's a great opportunity to buy, and in a sense, to buck the trend and not wait for everybody to jump back to oh my goodness, I didn't realize downtown properties were hot. Let me go in and let me do what everybody else is doing.
So with that, AJ says that he bought a condo that's closing late 2021 or early 2022. A little bit difficult because timing of vaccine and who knows where we'll be in terms of that. I think, we're all hoping to be out of the woods by then, but certainly, into whatever the norm is at that time. What do we expect the market to be like? That's an Etobicoke West, Lakeshore West type of property. I see a lot of expansion there. A lot of people see that as a popular place if they don't want to be in the real core of downtown. Do we think markets like that will be strong? And maybe the statistic you showed about outside the GTA, the 905 condos, maybe spells it out.
Maybe why don't I jump in here?
Sure.
Why don't I jump in here and then Alex can pick up. So thanks for the question. Fundamentally, there's a reason you purchased that condo. So I'm assuming it's a pre-construction condo. It's coming to the market in 2021. So you need to stick with that game plan unless something's fundamentally changed for you as a person. So if you bought that because you were going to keep that for your retirement and enjoy the capital appreciation and the cash flow from that unit, then you should stick with that plan, because fundamentally long-term, a condo's a great investment in the GTA. Etobicoke, fantastic distance to downtown, right? So there's no way you can go wrong with holding that. But if you bought it because you wanted to sell it, right, and just get the capital gain before anyone even occupied it, then yeah, I'd take a look at doing an assignment sale now. But the key thing is you need to talk to a RE/MAX Realtron agent, your agent, to let them run the numbers with you and see what makes best sense. But fundamentally, stick with your plan, stick with your strategy, because that has not changed. The GTA is a great place to hold real estate if that was what your goal was in the first place.
So if I can just jump in, thank you, Cam. Great answer. You know, here's the reality. The September stats just came out. Condo prices have gone up in 416, 7%. They've gone up 8% in 905. People have been expecting 15 and 20%. So now it's only 7%. Oh, it's not so good. The market is there. I just showed you 51% of our buyers, of our renters, are below the age of, 45. 24% of Canadians are 23 and under. We've got marriages coming. Marriages means kids, means more space, means, guys, the market is, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Prices are going up, not as great as they've been in the past, but the demand is still there, and you just got to get past this little bit of period of COVID. And here's the good news. As I said, in April, we didn't know what was going to happen. The economy was going to collapse, the world would fall apart. Well, it didn't. We've learned to live with COVID. We've learned to be careful with COVID, and we expected this second wave. And the government, Ford is as he said in his most recent comment, they can now afford to do minor tweaks. What did he say, Cam? A scalpel. Use a scalpel instead of a sledgehammer to make minor tweaks. So the bars were an issue. They've been closed down. That's a minor tweak. Yes, some businesses are going to suffer, but others are doing extremely well. Have you tried to buy toilet paper lately? We should buy some toilet paper stocks.
Yeah, great point, Alex. I think the fear is what creates it a lot. And so a lot of people who had rental properties who the tenant moved out either because of COVID-related reasons or not, just frictional, they move out. And then they said, well, should I take less rent or should I sell it? Well, I've made so much money in the condo market. Some people are taking profits off the table. Other people are not investing like they were planning to this year because they're kind of in a wait and see mode. So I think the opportunities are there for people who just, who are fundamental long-term investors who know that Toronto is a great investment. And maybe now's a great time to actually be able to buy something, because a year ago, you couldn't buy a resale condo. It was too hard.
Well, not only that, Jeremy, but a lot of Canadians can now afford to buy them because they have more disposable income. And also with the low interest rates, there were Canadians who wanted to buy, couldn't afford to buy, or didn't qualify to buy. But at 1.6%, they can qualify, or 1.8%, they can qualify. And so, yes, they want to live in a detached home for $1 million, but they can only afford 600, and they're buying condos because that's all they can afford, and this is their opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. And I will mention Alexander's comment, RE/MAX Realtron agent, extremely cautious about COVID, but I use 2 masks if elevators are being used. And I actually ask for no other people to come into the elevator. Sorry, could you wait for the next one? And there's always a way. And she's got a condo rental now that she's taking advantage on. So with that, let's move over to Sriram asks, Good day. Thanks for organizing the presentation. What type of house preferred? He's debating between a detached or a semi-detached house. What preferred location? Where should he be looking? Sounds like a first-time buyer that's looking to get started and looking for some direction. How much down payment should he expect to put down? Interest rates, monthly payments. Where does he begin? What does he do?
Well, the first thing you do is you contact a RE/MAX Realtron agent, right? Whoever invited you here today, because those are all great questions, and they're questions that all first-time buyers or even buyers who are buying again will have. There are some fundamental truths. I'll throw a few of them on the table, but again, it's really important you talk to a professional who looks at your needs and what is best for you. But over the long run, detached homes will go up in value more because land is scarce. So the more land you have, the more it's going to go up over long term, if that's a consideration for you. But you just can't go wrong buying a detached or semi-detached or condo unit in the GTA to live in particularly. And if this is an investment type thing, talk to your Realtron agent. They can crack the numbers for you because there's great opportunities to buy and rent in different places, whether it could be outside of the GTA in 905 areas or right downtown with a condo because the price might be a little bit better. So definitely use the professional realtor to search the market and fine tune it based on your needs.
Great answer. With that, CBAT asks, is the market, because the market went down a little bit in April in terms of number of sales and then came back up really strong now, are we in a sort of a spike in a very volatile market right now? And if you're buying, should you not buy right now and maybe wait a few months to see if there's a downswing in the market to try and catch a better buy than right now?
I'll start it, and Alex, you can pick up. But so first off, you can't time the market. So to speculate and say I'll buy in 2 months for less than now is not the right game to play. So the question is, why are you buying? Do you need a place to live? Then buy, right? And the key thing is buy. If you own a place and you want to buy a different and sell, make sure your buy and sell is at the same time. So if, let's just say, prices did go down, and who knows, right? If prices go down 5%, 10% over the next year, as long as you're selling and buying at the same time, you're set, you're all good. And frankly, that's a great transaction because the price will go down more of what you're buying than what you're selling. So two fundamental things. If you're selling and buying, do it at the same time. And secondly, if you're just buying, if you're a renter or you're new to the marketplace, buy now, don't wait. You can't speculate. And so what if the price went down 10%? Because in 5-10 years from now, you'll be sitting there going, my God, I'm so glad I bought. That's the only thing you'll be saying.
Alex, anything you want to add to that? Oh, you're muted. Sorry,
You're muted
Alex,
there,
you're
Alex.
muted.
Yeah.
As all of the experts are saying, this is short term. Tal said it's a V recovery. Prices came down, will come back up in a V. Condos are still in demand. Prices are going up. We have multiple offers. It's just, it reminds me of Michael Jordan scoring 50 points one night, and the next night he only scores 35 points. And people are saying, oh yeah, but he's not as good as he was last night. He should be able to, it just, the market is great. I guess as Cam pointed, you have to look, this is where you need a good Realtron agent. Okay. If they show you a property that says, okay, here's the cost, here's your mortgage, here are your payments, this is the rent you can expect, you're going to be making $200 a month, you're going to be breaking even, you're going to be, whatever the fact is, that's how you make your decision based on price, income, and expectations. You can't go on public opinion because, first of all, the public opinion is driven by the media, and the media wants to scare you, right? So you can come back and see if things have improved. So talk to an agent. Look at New York. Look at Europe. As populations increase, and Canada has got an amazing population growth, and that's going to increase over time.
Great. Sam Wadwa chimed in from our Shepherd office. As Tal mentioned, the Toronto real estate market's in a V-shaped recovery, and we only see an uptrend. He wonders where the disconnect is, because, like you said, Alex, we're all questioning the negative, but really the numbers are so positive. It's almost unbelievable. We see that maybe something is amiss, and so everyone wants to make sure. But I think that the trend is upward, and even with less students coming in, even with less, contract workers coming in, even with people who are living downtown who could go home and live with their parents because they're working from home, which will only be a temporary thing. There's still strength in the market, and it hasn't tanked. So everyone
Correct.
was waiting for it too. So I think the fundamentals underneath are so strong.
Not only that, but here's the question. Exactly what you said, Jeremy, the market is still good. Do you think COVID will be forever? If COVID is forever, then we're still... Wait, it was going to be a multiple choice question. So we know COVID isn't going to be forever, but even if it's for another year, we've seen that the market is still strong and things are still good. So, but everybody is expecting that COVID is short term, which means Airbnb will come back, which means more immigration will come back, which means people will go back downtown because 51% of the people want to live downtown because they're young. Okay, so, I mean, if you think that we're in this situation forever, don't buy. Or actually, you should buy because the market's still increasing. But if you think it's going to improve in the next year or two, what are you waiting for? It will improve. Okay, COVID has, we have to be cautious, but we have proven that over the last 6 months, we can live with COVID, we can be careful with COVID, and life continues. So yeah, it's prices have nowhere to go but up.
Great. We have questions about buying in Durham. Remax Realtron does a lot of business in Durham, York region. And
we're the number one brokerage.
Thinking,
we're the number one brokerage in York region. Mm-hmm. Nobody sells more houses in York region than our agents.
Yes. So should agents be buying? No, it's okay. It's a good plug. We like to do those too. Also, so should people be considering buying outside of the core of Toronto in the GTA? I think it's going to come down to price and what they're looking for, but.
Yeah, Durham's a fantastic area because it's more affordable than a lot of other areas close to the core of the city, right? So we have some great realtors who specialize in Durham, so contact them and start your search. It's a fantastic area. As there are a lot of benefits to any area, but Durham's fantastic because it's affordable, particularly.
And let me add to that. Sorry, let me add to that our agents are licensed to sell in Ontario. Okay, there are, depending, if you have to be downtown, you may not be interested in moving to Hamilton, or you may be, but Hamilton, Barrie, St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, people move depending on their lifestyle, depending on their affordability. There are a lot of factors. And our agents work in Ontario, and they sit down with their clients, and that's the purpose of a professional agent, which we have, to assess what the client needs. Don't act out of fear. Don't act out of panic. Sit down with one of our agents. We will sit with you. We'll analyze your needs. We'll give you the information you need to make the right decision for you. So don't limit yourself to Toronto. We have a great province, whether it's Durham or other areas that are dependent on your needs, not on anything else.
Great. Fahima asks if this will be, Ibram asks if this video is recorded. This is live on Facebook on the Remax Realtron Realty Inc. Facebook page. You can go there and rewatch it anytime. We will have the recording available to all Realtron agents shortly after the presentation, maybe 1 to 2 days after the presentation, and they will be able to send you a link to that as well. if you want to rewatch it if you missed anything. Here's a more specific question from an agent. A client has a condo downtown Ryerson University, near Ryerson University, and it's been on the market for 2 months for lease and didn't even get one showing. They don't know what to do now. Should they sell it, or should they wait and then wait for a rental for longer?
I'll jump in. So again, it kind of just depends on the client's situation, but holding real estate in the long term in the GTA, as we've said, is a fantastic investment. So if you can hold it, great. And if you are going to hold it, then it makes sense to lease it. And generally the reason that it's not leased is the price is probably too high. You're probably asking a little bit too much money, as you know, and the client just needs to see that. But when you're leasing, right, one of the fundamental things is getting the right tenant. It's not so much, 100 or 200 or 300 a month. It's getting the right tenant with good credit who's going to be there and be strong. And there are tons of great tenants who'd love to live in Ryerson. And you might attract so many other tenants right now who are paying more, who are outside of the downtown, who never thought they could live downtown because the rents were too high, just by having a $200 or $300 reduction. So that's what I think is the answer to that one.
Yes, and know that COVID is a temporary factor, and the rents will go back up again, because Cam, you pointed out 50 to 60,000 required every year. We've been building 30 to 40,000.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is just for legal immigrants. And when we talk about illegal immigrants or refugee status, this is why, a basement apartment is $1,400 a month, because there is no space. This is a temporary lull. And maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years, but and this is why you have to talk to an agent, if you can hold on to it for a year or two, worse comes to worse, those rents will return.
Great. Okay. I'm going to save Wayne Kahn's question for last. Thank you for the answer. But if the client decides to sell, is now the best time? Oh, I see. They've decided to sell. Is now the best time, or should they wait a little bit for a better market? Or is now, I'm not sure why you'd wait. I think Cam said it well. You can't time the market. I think we kind of answered that one. If you're going to do something, do it. And
do it. Get on with your life.
Yeah, and you have to live somewhere, so there's a buy involved.
You gotta live some, yeah.
So yeah,
get on with your life. Don't put your life on hold. Make a decision. Go with it, and just make sure you get the full information. Our job is not to make a decision for you, but to give you enough information so you can make the right decision for you and your family.
Great. We have Somto is in Saskatchewan and wondering if you need a license to register with RE/MAX as an agent or a property manager in Saskatoon. Unfortunately, we don't do Saskatoon. I assume there's a licensing board in Saskatchewan. So I would just go ahead and Google get my real estate license in Saskatchewan.
But if you want to come to Ontario, we'd be happy to speak with you.
And there's a rental property near Ryerson available. But I thought it was a good time to ask. Sorry, we don't have more information about Saskatchewan, but maybe a good time for any real estate agents or prospective real estate agents who are on and thinking of becoming a real estate agent, might want to be at another brokerage and thinking of joining RE/MAX Realtron. How should they reach out to us? What should they do?
Cam?
Yeah, well, contact Jeremy, Alex, myself. We also have managers, non-selling managers, who are there to help our agents and help you make the best decision in terms of your career and which brokerage to be with. So contact any of them. Our website is realtronhomes.com. List of all the managers and contact numbers right there. Same with Alex and Jeremy and myself.
Yeah, and a good time to mention that we have 9 locations throughout the GTA. So on their website, they can find the one closest to them and get in touch with the manager there, or one of us. That's wonderful. Thank you. I think those are all the questions except Wayne Kahn, long-term RE/MAX Realtron agent, trying to rope us into some sort of political debate here. How do you guys believe the pending election in the US will change the optics in the global economy and specifically the Canadian economy, real estate, and interest rates? And no one wants to touch it.
Yeah, no, sure. No, hey, Wayne, great question. Yeah, politics fundamentally has a short-term impact, not a long-term impact on any marketplace, including the real estate marketplace. So it really doesn't matter who wins the presidential election in terms of how real estate will perform in the GTA. Interesting times for us all, though, Wayne, and I know that's why the question in terms of who will be coming into power. But at the end of the day, that's not an influence in terms of the decision about real estate in the GTA. Focus on the fundamentals, the economics, not the politics, for sure.
Yeah, and whether what happens in states is irrelevant. Canada and Toronto is the hub of the world. Political freedom, financial freedom, multiculturalism. People want to come to Canada, and they're coming to Toronto. So Toronto will continue to grow. We have a great city.
Wonderful.
All
Gentlemen,
right.
thank you so much. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure. So much great information out there. Once again, thank you to everyone joining us. If you have any questions about real estate, contact your RE/MAX Realtron agent who connected you with this seminar, or if you just found us online, you can reach out to one of the three of us on Facebook, by email, by phone. Go to realtronhomes.com and we can connect with you. And I think that's it. It's going to be an interesting fall market. I think sales will continue to be strong, and hopefully everyone stays safe and has a nice time with their family while they're staying at home as much as possible outside of their essential work they need to do.
Thank you all for joining
Cam Forbes, Alex Pilarski, much appreciated.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.